Welcome to episode 137 of The Wellness Woman. In today's episode, I have Kiko Miwa, a friend from Japan, who is a raw chef, author, wellness educator, and has been following the raw vegan diet for about 22 years. Now, she's based in Kyoto and she runs a weekly raw vegan cafe and shares her passion for holistic health, mindful living, longevity, and she does so through her books, YouTube channel, podcast, recipes. She really tries to inspire others to have whole food, whether you want to be fully raw or not. Her journey took her to raw food, and this is how she felt best with her health and reversing some challenges she had. But the whole point is to just eat real food. So I hope that you enjoyed the episode. And although this episode is a personal journey and experience and not medical advice or science, I would love to go into a science a little bit. Today's sponsor is IM8. IM8 is a wonderful supplement company that just started with the co-founder being David Beckham, and they started to really bring to the market something that would say it has what it says it has, which is a challenge in the supplementation world because it's not very well regulated. This IM8 is actually certified sport, which means not only third-party testing is required, but you have to really just show the quality of the food and the purity of the ingredients is aligned to your marketing. And so you don't have any rights to make any claims other than what it truly says it does because it's proven scientifically. And they have a wonderful board of advisors as well. And some of the board of advisors members are friends, like Dr. Don Salem and our wonderful Dr. David Katz, who was on the podcast with me and Brenda a couple of days ago. The show will be out in August. And it is just so nice to see that people that have accolades and have their full foot into the science and that don't endorse anything other than things that are truly proven to work are there to show that this product is here to really make a change. I've been using it for just under a month and I can tell you I personally feel the difference. So if you want to try it out, I put the discount code in the show notes so you can try it out. I think they have beginners packs where you can actually get a smaller amount, so it's cheaper, but you can really try it out and see how you feel. I personally was skeptical, but I wanted to try it because again, I had friends that were vouching for it and I trust their opinion and their due diligence, and so I really went for it, and honestly I feel the difference. Now without any further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome, Kiko. Hi, Kiko. Good morning. Thank you for joining me on The Wellness Woman today. How are you?
Excellent. I'm so excited to be here, Chantel. I'm doing great.
Awesome. So I have done a little introduction, and I'm really excited about having you on the show because we have gotten in contact through the raw food scene through our friend Sky. And one of the things that I love to do with this podcast, especially when I'm not interviewing doctors or nutritionists or psychologists, like when I talk to people that have gone through an experience, I feel like that it enriches even more. One of the things that I learned through my practice is that we have we have data and it's great, and I love to have data, and data and research is so important, but it still doesn't encompass everyone's experience because we still, although some things are very universal, we're still quite unique, and bio individuality is very, very important to consider. So everybody's experience is very different, and unfortunately, we live in a world where, because of social media and the influencer model, where information is 30 seconds, 90 seconds, things get lost a lot, and so there's like this debate back and forth. And one of the things that I see, of course, when it comes to the raw diet is this exactly. It's like how is bad for you, good for you. Like people are just so polarized about it. And so I wanted to talk to you about your own experience. But before we do that, can you just give a little introduction about who you are, where you live, your experience, and what you do as a job or jobs because you have many hats. And yeah, and then we can just talk about your journey and why you even started.
Thank you. So my name is Kiko. I was born and raised here in Japan. I have right now I live in Kyoto, and I think this is my home for the rest of my life. This is the first time I felt so good in one place, and it took a long time for me to find my home. I have lived maybe more than half of my life outside of Japan. I lived in the States for 10 years. I also lived in Costa Rica, France, and traveled quite different countries all over the world. And I have discovered raw vegan lifestyle in 2003, December 31st. And I've been on this raw vegan lifestyle since 2004. So at that time, I was living in New York City. I was working as an IT consultant for the big one of the big four accounting company, and my life has transformed ever since. And here I am. Right now, I'm just chilling. But with many projects. I have I'm working as an interpreter and guide in Kyoto. Kyoto is a very beautiful city with lots of World Heritage sites. So I work as a guide and interpreter guide. That's that's really my hobby. I'm just very lucky to get paid. And I have a pop-up cafe in Kyoto because there's no raw vegan cafe restaurant in Japan. And although I prefer someone else do it because no one else is doing it, I'm doing it once a week right in the center of Kyoto. And what else? I have our garden. I bought the house in Kyoto for over 4 years ago. So I'm truly living my dream. I always wanted to have my garden where I can grow fruits. Now I've got lots of kiwi with lots of kiwi fruits, different kind of fruit trees. So yeah, just enjoying my life.
That's amazing. Okay, how come you, first of all, why did you decide to leave Japan and travel extensively outside of it?
Mm, yeah, I wanted to see the world. I was I always wanted to leave outside of my family world. And when I started working when I was in high school, I just had so much fun. And then I've learned about English, which we can connect with people from all over the world. You know, Chantal, I'm connecting with you. You're in Portugal, I'm in Japan, and it's incredible. This English, just one language, you get to connect with so many people. So yeah, that's why as I wanted to see the world, I went to college in the States.
Oh, I see. Amazing. Okay, I love that. And the reason I asked is because obviously you will talk about your health journey shortly, but I think a lot of us who don't fit in sometimes because of that innate, I don't know if this is probably generational. Maybe our soul just has this purpose to accomplish, but the ones of us who don't fit in, especially in our family nucleus, oftentimes have more health challenges than the ones that do fit in. I've seen this trend. This is obviously not, I don't know if there's a study about it. I've just noticed. This is by speaking to people, noticing patterns. So, don't quote me as a scientific uh,
Mm,
declaration here, but it's just definitely something I've noticed. And it's nice to observe these things because I feel like maybe that's because we are more sensitive, we are more um, more prone to not settling, so our nervous system is more delicate. Whatever it is, our challenges come for a reason. So I had
Mm.
the same experience in my family. Like I just knew that there was more outside of my family nucleus. I just, I mean, even I was lucky. I didn't live in one place. We lived in different places, but I never, for example, my dad is Italian. I never connected to Italy. As in, I loved the country. It's a beautiful country, and especially if you visit. But I just never felt home there, and
Oh,
um, and I just didn't feel at home in my dad and his family. Like I just didn't. I just knew I wasn't part of the pack, and
because you were born and raised in South Africa.
I was born in Italy. I was raised between Italy, South Africa, and then I lived in Mauritius. And Mauritius, I enjoyed. It was a really good place for many things, but it was also challenging for others. It's an island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. People know it for honeymoons, not for living there. And when you live there, I mean, when I was there, it was actually nicer than it is now. Less people, more nature, but it was still a challenge for many things. But I was at school and I actually loved going to school there. I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really loved it. So that's probably the best time of my life, school-wise. High school in Mauritius for me was like the dream. And
Mhm.
so yeah, but I had, I had my health challenges too. I mean, for me, it was eating disorders throughout my teen years and 20s, and it's just been really, really challenging. I was raised with um, you know, body dysmorphia. So that's something that I still have a problem with. Problem as in I am aware of it, so I have to really manage it, sometimes better than other times. And but I definitely am more like my nervous system is very sensitive. Like I manage stress so well that I don't feel like I'm stressed, but then my body will show it. So relating to what you were saying, like this will to just go outside, be outside, being able to communicate and touch other cultures and experience. And I think you worked for Deloitte. I think you mentioned it once, right? Or
Ernst and Young.
Accenture.
Ernst and Young?
Also, okay, Ernst Young's. Okay, so yeah, I have some reason I thought we spoke about Deloitte. Um, but yeah, so it's a challenging. It's funny because you go into a very challenging environment, and in a challenging city like New York City. So I know that you looked into raw, probably not for a trend because at the time it was more prevalent in the US than anywhere else in the world. It wasn't like the thing that people were doing. So can you just take me through why raw? Why did you find it? What did you feel that made you want to go down that path?
Yeah, so I discovered raw vegan diets through now my close friend. One on December 31st, I was invited to my friend's house, and he came with the raw vegan takeout. There's caravan. Did he take out from
Caravan of
Dreams? I think he had a takeout from Caravan of Dreams,
Dreams. Yeah.
or it was another raw vegan. No, I think it was from another raw vegan. But anyway, it was a fully raw vegan burger with chips and guacamole, and it was his birthday, and we were doing a hot pot. I was a pescatarian back then. It was mostly vegetarian, but eating out, I was eating some fish, and it was like a healthy food, like hot pot, not too much oil, and mostly veggie. And he didn't touch any food, and he just ate that, burger. And he was just very, content and happy. And I was just very curious what he was eating. And he was gracious enough to let me try. And when I tried it, it was like, wow, this is amazing. Like it's not cooked, but it tastes so good. And it's just New York gets really cold, but he was just very happy with what he was eating. And my friend who invited him to his her place, she prepared a birthday cake for him because it was his birthday, right? It was just a end of year friends gathering, but because it just happened to be his birthday, she prepared a cake. And of course, it was not raw vegan, so he didn't touch it at all. I was like, wow, it's just incredible. He doesn't touch anything but just whatever he brought. And then I just had surgery to remove the ovarian cyst. I had a recurring ovarian cyst, and it was very scary because my whole family was in Japan, and it was the first time I went to a hospital. It was so many things that I was uncertain, and I also had eczema, but mainly I wanted to find out how I can prevent this ovarian cyst to come back. And then my friend, uh, who was doing fully raw vegan for 3 years back then, and he shared that, his journey, that the miracle he has been discovering. So slowly he has been educating. I was reading a book, many, many books back then, and then, yeah, I just felt amazing. Like I just wanted to scream to the world how great I felt. And at the same time, I was like pissed, like, why did I not know about this? Like, it's such a simple and an amazing diet, and why did I not know about it? So yeah, part of that is because the why I write books, why I do pop-ups, why I do YouTube and Instagram is just doing my part to share with people who might need this information.
Amazing. And after your operation, how long, what you stay, I mean, you obviously had the operation again and you went raw. You were educating yourself.
Yeah.
How, what was the changes that you saw?
So I had a surgery, I think it was in November 2003. And, you know, once it removed, I thought I'm good to go. And then what happened was after 3 months, it came back. So I didn't turn fully raw back, right away when I met my friend. And, after just a few months later, it just comes back in full form. And my gynecologist said that, you know, think about it, but we should set up another surgery to remove it. And that first surgery was just really traumatic. It was just really, really horrific. Um, Maybe because I'm small compared to most American people, and I think
Anesthesia.
anesthesia, yeah, was probably too strong for me. I felt really, really sick, and it took me a while for me to recover. So I just didn't want to go through that surgery again. And when it came back, uh, I was more serious about going raw vegan because my friend has had an amazing result, right? So yeah, slowly I was introducing raw vegan. I was just removing some of the addictive food
Which were?
and
Which food?
uh, dairy, pasta, bread, yeah, like highly processed food. So slowly I was just removing all of that stuff from my kitchen. And I tried fully raw in 2004. I think it was in August or September, and I felt incredible. Like I lost 7 kilo or 15 pounds in 1 week, like
Wow.
without, yeah, and
Trying.
yeah, I didn't even have scale. My friend who didn't see me for like a week, she said, "Wow, Kiko, like half of you is gone. What happened to you?" And then I realized that yeah, it's true. Like when I'm going up on the stairs, I feel so light, and I feel like there's like a motor in my behind me, and of course, like it's like
Mm.
all of a sudden I have more energy and less fat. I just felt amazing, and a lot of people commented like, "Wow, Kiko, like you're glowing." Like it's. I remember that year, my birthday is November 9th. We had a joint Scorpio party, and everyone was commenting how I was glowing. And I wrote about more in detail, and also with the photo of that Scorpio party on 2000 in 2004, and you would see like I was just having so much fun. I was just glowing, and everyone was like mesmerized by me.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. And
yeah.
so after that, you kind of really stayed with it, and
No, stay
no,
with it.
you didn't. Okay. Well, then take me through the journey. What happened? Like, how did you navigate the ebbs and flows of it?
Yeah, so I try to stay as much as possible, but I am by nature social butterfly. I have changed now, and I'm happy staying alone. But back then, I it was I was always with someone. I was, being a consultant also, I'm
Mm,
always out, invited to lunch and dinner, and I had tons of, people that I hang out with. So social setting was the most challenging part for me. So I tried to order salad, but salad is not so interesting in a
mm,
regular restaurant.
restaurant, yeah.
Yeah, and then they also come with like very heavy oil. Um, so yeah, and I was also struggling with food addiction. So yeah, I went yo-yoing back and forth. And every time I try fully raw, I feel like I am never gonna eat, processed or cooked food. But then, with the social setting, with food addiction, it was very hard for me to keep on. But I stayed high raw. Back then, there was no term high raw. It was like either you're fully raw. Back then, also fully raw meaning like no tea. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like now it's very welcoming raw vegan world. I feel you can just be high raw, and you're include it's an inclusive world. I feel,
Yeah.
and fully raw people would say would take some tea like herb tea, and that's okay. There's no bashing. And back then, that was not accepted in a way. So I felt like fully raw and then processed food, fully raw and processed food, and just going back and forth.
Interesting. Also because again, you don't have to be fully raw to be healthy, but just the very fact that it's like either fully raw, which is like this extreme of being diligent and being committed and being clean versus process. But like in the middle, there's a spectrum, right? There's like you can have whole food, plant-based meals that are homemade, natural food that is not coming in a package. But it's like sometimes when people are so dogmatic about the path they're on, they feel like these extremes are it's either this or it's that, and it's like they're complete opposite. And so it can make people feel very discouraged. You feel like you're failing. And
Mm,
I think a lot of the times, especially for people that are more sensitive, that's really a triggering part of this journey, which is why a lot of people don't do it. I mean, I love the fact, as you said, right now is very welcoming, and I see a lot of amazing creators online who are being so kind about the journey. Like, hey, you know what? You don't have to be perfect. Like,
mm,
you need to hear this. You don't have to be perfect. You have to just be on a path that is aligned with you so that you can thrive and where you can do very well and you're doing your best, and that best is good enough. And even if it's high raw and not fully raw, you're still good. I mean, I hang out with a lot of online, of course, because in person I don't have that access to here. But a lot of raw vegans that are fully raw, and none of them ever made me feel just because I'm a nice. I mean, of course, the Dr. Doc Graham was like, "Well, I remember tofu, and tofu is." I'm like, okay, let's not bash tofu because I'm not ready to give it up. So sorry. Um, or Dr. Morse. But Dr. Morse is funny because he himself is not fully vegan, raw all the time. Is sometimes is it like he loves Indian food, so he will go and have Indian food. Um, so I don't. It's nice that it's much more welcoming because I feel like a lot of this obviously comes from the hygienist movement, which is something that I think was necessary, and it has a lot of benefits. I mean, here in Portugal, actually, a little trivia for those of you who want to know. Back in the early 1900s, so this was shared at a vegan convention in 2019. I was speaking at this conference before. This conference was a vegan conference that was happening every year in a village, actually, in the mountains of northern Portugal. So really, really random. They stopped doing it, which is why I started doing mine. Elevate plant-based Braga from last year. So I started it. I roped in a plant-based treaty after the city of Braga signed the agreement to make changes towards environmental improvements through plant-based, which is tough to educate people about, especially when they're culturally stuck into a certain way, but that's another conversation. But one of the things that I learned is that and they were sharing at this conference that a lot of Portuguese in the early 1900s, they were what they call naturalista, which is actually the hygienist movement. So they were eating only fruit. And
What?
but yes, this was, however, funny enough, and I think this is why Portuguese culture it's very they struggle to embrace this lifestyle, culturally speaking, because that particular approach was only done by aristocrats. So the
Ah,
aristocrats were eating,
really?
yes,
That's good
they were on the
though.
hygienist movement and they were gathering together. They were very natural in their way. They took it even as far as when they went to the beach, they were naked, like truly naturalista. And so I think because it became this elite way of living for health, but it was reserved for people that were in a certain class. The rest of Portugal didn't have access to this information. And I think that division really took them away from what does it mean to be an hygienist in the hygienist movement. In the US, the hygienist movement was very niche, but it was anybody that wanted to do it could have done it. And I think it became much more accessible, of course, when like Anne Whitmore started writing books and started sharing, and then of course there is the separation or evolution, let's not call it separation, of doing it only fruit and then adding actually the greens. So you see a lot of differences between those that are just fruitarians versus, for example, the Hippocrates Institute. And I must say that although I learned about all this through Dr. Morse, and so the high fruit or all fruit approach, I don't do well with all fruit. I actually align much more with the Hippocrates, you know, way of doing it, which is much more greens. My body
Hmm.
just prefers that, and I think we need to really be aware of that. Again, that attunement to your biology, to your bioindividuality. And now I'm not saying I don't eat fruit, I eat a lot of fruit, but I couldn't do just fruit. I do
Mm,
love my salads, and I feel like my body actually really thrives on salads much more. Now, I know
mm,
that the struggle with that is that it's lower calories than fruit, so of course you have to eat more, especially because I am actually low fat, something I'm trying to change because I've been learning that actually Now I reverse diabetes, so I don't have to be low fat anymore. I can actually enjoy having some more tahini
Mhm.
and avocado. I mean, avocados I do have, but more tahini, more seeds. Not be afraid of it. But
Mhm.
it's a journey for sure. And so I
Yeah,
it's nice. It's
congratulations.
nice to see. Yeah. So
Mhm.
how when you went raw and through the journey of it, through this learning about the hygienist movement and applying and then still going back and forth, I would love to know so that people can relate to this one. And let's do one question at a time so that it's easier. How did you manage these addictions to foods that you mentioned, like dairy and wheat? And when was the moment that you're like, actually, no, I don't want to do these anymore?
It took a long time. I think I only came out of food addiction less than 2 years ago. I
Okay.
was just sharing. I was just sharing. But it goes by, it's not all at once that and there are so many steps, right? Like what my husband, he's vegan, but when he loves bread. When he eats bread, I had to tell him not to eat in front of me because I just couldn't, watch him eat. I would have to eat and I cannot stop. And I always have to pay for the consequence. It's just, and for me, it takes a long time for me to recover, like usually over a month for just one binge eating. So, you know, you would hope that you learn with few lessons, but I've had so many lessons that I had to go through. And honestly, for me, again, it's not just one thing that cured my food addiction. There's so many steps that all of the steps that I had to go through for over 20 years helped. But I think the last missing key was the community. And I talk about it in Namado too, which is the second book that I published. Namado, first one I published last year, and this year I published Namado 2, and I mentioned how, for me, was the last key point was the community, that the right kind of community.
That's amazing. I would love to go a little bit deeper on food addiction, if you don't mind. Again, because a lot of people have it, but they don't acknowledge it or don't want to speak about it. There's a lot of shame about it. Um, I probably don't talk about it enough, but I definitely um, also have that. And I always had it. I mean, I talk about when I was binge eating, when I was restricting, but now that I'm not restricting, I still have moments where if I have some dates with nut butter, I can go absolutely too much into it. And then I will binge and then feel awful. And not feel awful only with guilt. That is part of it. And that part I've managed to learn how to talk to myself and be okay with, it. But the effects on my body that are inevitable, I feel it because if I don't eat in a certain way and then like all at once I'm having a lot of dates and a lot of nut butters together, my body will feel it. So like, what's going on here? From digestion to, feeling heavy and retaining water, like all these things. And I mean, it's normal. You are filling up your glycogen stores, and that means you retain more water. So it's not even like about gaining weight because that weight is water weight. And after a few days of a week of not having, but there is this, what it does start that I think it's really, really hard and for a lot of people, and you mentioned it that for you too, is that also not only the way you feel takes a long time to feel better and not feel, but it's the wanting to have more and more of it. Because the whole
Mm.
part of addiction is not that you go crazy and you're like, I'm doing it because it's a kick. It's actually it's a reaction. It's a dopamine input, right? So you're getting that feel good. You're having this food that makes you feel really good in that moment. So the dopamine hit is high, and your body, your brain is looking for those things because dopamine hits were keeping us alive. You were going for food like fruit and other things in the wild, like shrubs that were sweeter, especially when it was needed. Like in winter, you would look for something that was more substantious and starchy and will keep you alive. So you need to feel good when you have it. And
Mm.
so that's normal. That's like human nature. I mean, if we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't be here. But in today's world where we have access to so much, food addiction is the dopamine hit. And the dopamine hit is not only addictive because we of that food, it's because a lot of us lack the dopamine, the normal, most steady hits that we need from community, connecting, acknowledging our feelings, like from our inner self. So that gap is now filled with that dopamine hit because of food. So our brain would connect that food to feeling good and having and wanting to have it more and more and more. So I wanted to really just clean out any stigma on this because most of us are food addicts, unfortunately. Um, and it's just that a lot of us don't want to acknowledge it. We're not taught to acknowledge it. And if we do acknowledge it, we're shamed because society is not catered to helping with this input, is actually promoting it. And again, I go back to social media. Social media is built on that dopamine hit. So they don't want people to be grounded and reflective on what it means. What am I missing? What am I lacking that I'm looking for dopamine hits everywhere?
Mm.
So it's that, it's that true, there is a gap. How do I fill that gap without going? It's not easy. Like I still fall for it sometimes. I told you this week, because I ate out more, for me, like even that more greasy, salty, like not the food I make, will trigger something in me, and then I want to have the dates and I want to have the nuts, and then if something emotional happens, this is when I find myself going for these things.
Hmm.
So if I'm not in
Yeah,
my routine, I feel it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think eating out, I don't like eating out in general
Mhm.
because there's not much raw vegan option, and even if there's like a cleaner vegan version, we don't know who's making the food behind, and I tend to feel that energy, like are
Mm.
they really happy when they're making the meals? And so that's why I do once a week, just one afternoon a week, and I make sure when I prepare my meal I'm happy, and I'm always thinking about who would be eating, who would be enjoying, and whoever eats my food, they always feel like, oh, it's amazing how I feel. Like I have so much energy. I feel so, and they keep on messaging me after, one time visit, and then they might be living far, and they keep on saying that I just remember how I felt so good eating your food. And of course, this is raw vegan food, so it's there's all the nutrition there, and enzyme is active, and my love is put in it. So of course, people would feel good, but the same food made with someone who is stressed and sad, I think I would feel that heaviness, and that's why I'm very careful when whenever I go eat, I make sure that the chef is happy, right? But you can't make sure all the time, but I try to choose a place where chef and people working there are happy.
Yeah, you're so right. I was as you were talking, I was really thinking, I mean, um there is a restaurant in Porto that I truly love. I'm gonna It's called Gao, and they're not raw. They're just vegan, but they do put a lot of love in their food. You can tell. Um, and but the energy is so incredibly important. It's true. Like, and when I go there, I know that they love what they do, so they put a lot of love in their food, and it does. And some days it tastes even better than others, so maybe they're having a better day in the kitchen. I don't know. Um, but definitely so important. And sometimes when you go to a place, if that food, and I mean, I'm a volume eater. I need to eat a lot because I don't, when, especially when I go out, okay, I do love tofu, but I will have it at home because I don't actually even cook it. Like it's already cooked, to be fair. I don't prepare it. I just have it as is. I like it that way, so I don't mind. A little bit of salt and we're done. But so when I go out, I prefer buffets because of the salad choices. So
Mhm.
I need to eat a lot of that because I mean even though it's mostly cooked, my plate is salad leaves and carrots and beets and uh cabbage. Like it's so obviously it's very low calories. So for me to feel satiated, I really need to go back 4 times for big plates. Because generally speaking, my meal is a big bowl of salad,
Yeah.
massive, like when normally people put on the table to serve a family, I will have it for my own because it's mostly it's vegetables. And
Mm.
because I do intermittent fasting, I bulk up a lot at lunch because I need to. And then I don't think about food for the rest of the day. Then I have like, I work and I do my free stuff and I don't have to worry about it. But I think that's the difference, like when you go out. So I can select these places. But even then, even though I go to a place like that where I know the food is made with love and I do eat a sizable amount, so full plates of veggies, it's still different when I eat raw food to when I eat cooked food. When I eat the cooked vegetables, I do get hungry more. And I actually feel, which is interesting, my glucose dip. So if I only had one plate of that, I would actually go into hypoglycemia. I've noticed this. I feel my blood sugar is dropping. So only after 2 or 3 plates, I feel up again. So cooked food actually, as much as I love the taste when you can make cooked food, and I prepared cooked food as well for my supper clubs and events because not everybody's raw, not everybody can handle raw. Only to be honest, you need to prepare your digestive system. I've worked on it really, really hard, but you definitely, you feel the difference. It's like it just processes very different in the body. So I do love raw food. And even in winter, I don't mind it. What I do if I'm really, really cold is that I boil some water. Not only do I have teas, but I will have miso soup. I just boil the water, let it cool a little bit so I don't kill the poor microbiome in the miso paste. And then I mix it and I have a miso soup, which again is full of minerals and I know a lot of raw foodies use miso, which is good because obviously it's fermented, not necessarily cooked. So there are many ways now to do it, even if you are more like microbiotic, like there are many, many ways of doing raw. But you're right, the energy of the food, and this is why as well, when I go out, I don't love it. I can feel the energy in the food, and it's like either if you go to a big place which is more, and I can compare the place that I just mentioned to another one around the corner. It's the same concept, open buffet, fully vegan, but the other place is more commercial. It's a chain, and
Mm.
you feel the food doesn't taste the same. It just doesn't. It doesn't have that love and care that the chefs would put in. So it's very important, I think, if when people start paying attention. So I hear you. I also don't love eating out.
Yeah, and going back to food addiction, for me, I had to tell my husband,
Mm,
like don't eat certain thing in front of me, and also I had to tell him, you have to stop me when I'm overeating, because I always suffer. Like it was almost every meal. So now my default is fully raw, but I was mostly on high raw until very recently, like until a year and a half ago or so. So I would include cooked food, and for me, when I include cooked food, I I don't know when to stop. Like my body craves more and more and more. I can't stop it. So then I feel so much pain in my stomach because I just expanded too much.
mm,
And but raw vegan food, like when you eat, even if you feel like you overeat, it just passed like in I don't know, 5, 10 minutes. Like longest 15 minutes, it just pass and you're okay. You just go through. So I remember when was it? Like a while back, my husband said, uh, Kiko, maybe you should stop eating uh, because you're gonna complain that you're suffering so much after eating. And it was a fully raw meal. So I told him, no, it's okay. I'm over with food addiction. You don't need to remind me anymore. But it was kind of, cute because I trained him to tell me, because I used to blame him, like, why didn't you tell me I was eating like a monster? And of course I'm suffering. And now I haven't had that feeling for such a long period of time. It feels so good. It's crazy. Every single day I was suffering.
Yeah,
Is that?
my God, I can relate. Yeah, yeah. It's true. With cooked food, it's just so easy to overeat, and you never feel satiated. And
Mm,
I have to be honest. I told you I love tofu, and I don't think I'm ready to give it up. Having said that, um, there were many afternoons or lunches where I didn't add tofu, and I have more energy when I'm digesting only the raw food than when I have tofu in the meal. When I have tofu, I just have this slump. Even if, again, it's only the tofu, it's plain, nothing on it, but my body is just like, this is a hard work, girl. Of course, it's high protein, and protein takes a lot more
mm,
energy than carbohydrates to digest, which again, it really just shows that we are meant to be, eating plants, really,
mm,
and that, yeah, sometimes the truth is, yes, you can have. I mean, I don't react the same when I sprout, like things like chickpeas or lentils. Sprouts I'm
mm,
okay with. They really don't do the same thing. But it shows, even grains and pulses can be a bit heavy for digestion
mm.
versus just the vegetables and the fruit. Um, so it's very interesting.
Have you tried freeze dry natto?
I have natto. I buy natto. I'm perfect with natto. I know, you also don't overdo natto. You have 2 tablespoons and you're
No,
done. Like, and I
that,
like it. I like the taste. I like the taste. Okay, a little bit of soy sauce on it, and we're good to go. Now, don't. I know it's fermented, and people are like, "What is this crap?"
well, I recommend you trying one day freeze dried
I see if I
natto
can find it. Let me. Yeah.
because my husband loves natto,
Yeah.
but I personally don't like natto, the slimy one. But I started to incorporate freeze-dried natto into my salad. It's so good. It's very crunchy, and for some reason, it tastes salty on its own.
Hmm.
Uh, so I don't need to marinate much. There's no added salt, but it's just crunchy. And so I was able to substitute like nuts. I used to put a lot of nuts into my salad. um, then I don't know, it was a bit heavy, and my skin could react to that. And yeah, so I do freeze dried natto in my salad like every other day, and it's just very satiating.
I'm gonna have to go and see at the Asian market if they have it. Because that's
Uh,
what I buy, the fresh one. The frozen is frozen, but
I bought one on Amazon. You want to make sure that it's not deep fried because there are a lot of deep fried natto with like additives. So you want to make
mm,
sure that it's nothing added, just freeze dried, no salt, no additives.
I think I found it
Oh,
in
cool.
there's but I don't know where they're shipping from. I need to check. It's a Japanese store.
Mm,
Let's see if they have Europe here. Probably
mhm.
Germany, if anything, of course. So,
Sometimes I can't eat natto because for my work, I go to like a sake tour. I do sake tour or like a koji, like which is a Japanese mold to make miso and soy sauce and sake and lots of fermented stuff. and natto mold is very strong, so they ask us not to eat it from a day before and then that day. So 2 days I have to skip it, and I miss that freeze dried natto when I have to skip it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think people, maybe we need to just clarify. So natto is soybeans, but they are fermented instead of cooked. Natto
Oh,
is the
it is.
actual.
Yeah, so natto is cooked soybean,
Mm-hmm.
which is fermented.
Yeah.
So there's,
Okay, so it's
yeah.
still cooked. Okay. I thought they were actually just fermented. Okay, but that natto per se is actually is the bacteria.
Mm,
So because people think maybe it's a kind of food, but actually the name natto is the bacteria's name. So yeah, it's but this is, I think, this is one example again where raw foodists will have natto because of the
mhm.
fermentation, even if the bean has been cooked. Yeah, the thing is, with bean, unless you have edamame, once they get older, you can't actually have them raw. They can destroy your digestive system. So it's a tough one for raw foods, but at the same time, I like this flexibility that is now in the raw food space. I mean, cashews are technically not raw, you know?
Yeah, it
Um,
cannot be raw. It's
it can't be
dangerous
raw.
to be raw.
Yes. So they have to be high steamed.
Yeah, what's nice is that so when I started the raw vegan journey in 2004, everyone was kind of fooled in a way, like agave syrup
Hmm.
was huge back then.
Hmm.
Oh, I believe my friend also believed that it was raw.
Yeah.
Cashew was, everyone thought that it was raw because it's sold raw. It was just
Yeah.
not, grilled in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
but it's there are so many things, even like all the nuts and seeds, everything has to be pasteurized
Hmm.
nowadays. Even frozen fruits has to be pasteurized, so technically not raw.
Hmm.
But we try to incorporate living food as much as possible. Maple syrup again also is not raw, but it's used widely used in raw vegan recipe, right?
I mean, well, I guess with maple syrup, if you find a good grade, it is really coming from the tree, like it's the sap. So it could
It
be
has to be cooked.
considered.
The maple syrup, when they extract it, it's just like water. It has to
Yeah,
be
and
cooked.
it needs to be caramelized. Yes, they
Yeah,
could leave it though because it's sweet. It's still sweet. So I don't know why they have to caramelize it. I don't know. I don't know enough about the maple
just
syrup
like
process.
water. It's just water, not too sweet when you drink it like that. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's good that we accept that even in this fully raw vegan world, it's not
That's
really
right.
fully. So that makes it easier for, like more inviting, acceptable, it's not all cooked food. And I like Rick and Karen Dina.
Mm,
They talk about the nutrition loss and what to include as a cooked food, because even like broccoli and stuff, chickpea stuff like that, it changes the texture when you cook it, and it doesn't lose that much nutrient and mineral. Like yeah, so.
yeah, even Brenda Davis, she's a registered dietitian. She wrote the book with her co-writing partner, with Santo Melina, called Becoming Raw. They are dietitians, and they actually both are plant-based, like fully vegan. And she was actually the first vegan dietitian, especially in Canada and Northern America. So when she started, there was no one that was tackling this subject. So she wrote very many books about becoming vegetarian, becoming vegan, becoming, she has a book called Nourish, which is for families on the same concept. And when the publisher asked her to write Becoming Raw, she was kind of hesitant because there wasn't much aside from very very fringy movement of raw food. But in her book, I love her book. And this is, why actually I am going to organize a podcast show having her and Dr. Graham and other doctors and maybe have different views to have a conversation. Because again, it's very easy to have a sounding board and have one view and say this is the truth. But actually, I want to have a conversation with people with different opinions. And I know the people I will invite are not influencers and not sensationalizing anything. They're really just talking about the research. They're mindful because unfortunately, we are in a world where if you put when you have debates, and it wouldn't be a debate, it would be a conversation. People are like really defending their point of view, and here I really want to create conversation where we can understand the pros and cons of raw vegan, and if somebody chooses to be raw vegan, what are the blind spots they need to look at so that they don't get deficient? Because I think one of the things
Mhm.
that is hindering veganism per se, and I mean it as in the ethical movement, is that when you choose to do vegan with a specific um, approach, especially when it's more uh, I don't want to say restrictive because I don't see raw vegan as restrictive, but not as common. When you can't just go out and have food everywhere because most of it is not raw, then how do you do it right so that these blind spots don't make the whole vegan movement sound bad when it's not true? I mean, most people that are sick, I always keep on telling people, I'm like, you're pointing out on a diet that it can have deficiencies. The majority of the world is sick. We are facing cardiovascular disease, diabetes, every other metabolic issue under the sun, cancer. The majority of these people are not raw, they're not even vegan. So when you say there are deficiencies, making it sound like this diet is going to hurt you, when the majority of the people in the world are sick and they are not following this diet, do you see this pattern or is just because you heard somebody say it? And I think the parroting, and instead of thinking, actually, yeah, most people are sick and they're not even vegan. So deficiencies happen on any diet, and the majority of the world actually are deficient anyway because they don't pay attention to what they just eat what everybody else does. And because
Mhm.
it's what everybody else does and eats, it sounds and feels and looks normal. And so when they go to have their blood work, especially as they get older, uh, independent from women, this is another whole subject. We are very different, and we are going to even talk about our hormones. But they go and have their blood work, and then they're told, you have diabetes, so here's the pill, or it's nothing to do with your lifestyle, it's just aging. And I'm just like, what on earth? So disease is actually even seen as normal, but
Mhm.
being vegan or raw vegan is seen as abnormal or the cause of all issues and evil in the world. And I'm really not understanding the logic. But then again, humans.
Yeah, I think it's unknown. Like people, human beings are scared of something that they don't know. So,
Mm.
and this is something they don't hear that much. So they feel like, oh, like going to McDonald's every day is more sane to most people than eating raw vegan diet every day.
Can I ask you a question? You make a lot of beautiful food. How do you balance out, because there is raw and there is raw. Okay, the gourmet raw is much higher in fat, is much more involved, and what I've noticed is that actually even I who eat all raw, like I do better with my standards, big salads, smoothies, very simple meals rather than sometimes I will make something a little bit more fancy like a pizza, but I don't necessarily feel as great with that kind of raw gourmet, even if I actually make things that are low fat versus having very plain, just veggies and fruit. How do you navigate what you created the cafe, but also what you eat at home? What's the approach for you?
I share what I eat. Exactly. I don't change. I don't use any processed oil. Um, so I share pretty much almost every day. I share what I eat at home. And when you see my cafe lunch, maybe it's a little more prettier. I might put like edible flour to it, but it's the same because I my cafe is people just kind of it's a serendipity cafe, so people don't usually reserve in advance. And I don't want to lose. I don't want any kind of food loss, so I make sure that I have enough to serve. And if I don't sell them on that day, I can eat it with my husband, right? And
Mm.
I'm very sensitive. Like I'm I'm allergic to cashews. Within that whole raw vegan food, I don't have any oil to begin with at home. So yeah, I I don't cater for gourmet raw vegan food, and people still love my food. It still tastes really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And but how do you feel about gourmet? Like, why did you choose not to go that route when you prepare the café?
I react. I get itchy. I feel
Yeah.
sluggish. Again, like we talk about cashew. Cashew
Mm,
is not a healthy food, but it's good to add it. It's better than like you can make an amazing thousand dressing with cashew nut base, or you can make amazing like cream cheese or like dessert, raw vegan dessert with cashew nut base, right?
mm-hmm,
And coconut oil. It tastes amazing, but it's actually not raw.
mm-hmm.
And I might eat it if I'm served, but I don't feel good after eating it. And a lot of people, if you eat this a lot, they would start feeling something off. And actually, there was one YouTube Japanese lady who's doing a lot of raw vegan desserts, and basically it was heavily cashew nuts. And she said that she was getting so much irritation in her skin, and pretty much everyone in her school, raw vegan school, they were getting skin irritation. And it's just too bad because cashew, again, is not raw vegan, but it's a good, substitute for creamy base, right? It shouldn't be your everyday base food.
Yeah.
So I don't do it because I don't feel good. I want to make sure that I feel great first, and I want to make sure everyone who eats it, while they enjoy it, I want them to leave with like vibrant energy and feeling great.
Yeah, I definitely I eat cashews, but I don't eat them all the time. I will definitely use them for cheese and some dressings, but yeah, I don't eat them all the time. I also with nuts in general, I can't have them all the time. I feel not very good with them because it's very high fat and it's more fat than protein, so I'd rather get my protein from the sprouts, for example. Um, and definitely, and of course, I eat tofu, so I'm definitely getting more than enough protein. But I
Mm,
can, I can soak and dehydrate or sprout buckwheat and quinoa, and again, I will get quite a
mm,
bit of protein there. So there are many ways to do it, but yeah, I think, and to be honest with you, with the funny part, I never use any more coconut oil. Um, I know some desserts might require a harder fat to harden up, but what I found is that I could use a nut butter and it will harden up in the fridge, or I will use the coconut milk because it still has the creamy part that will harden up, but I avoid the oil.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one thing. Even though I need to up my game with the fats, oils are just, I don't see them as part of my routine. And I don't think, I actually, when I do supper clubs, I never use oil. Very, very rarely I put like really good quality, fresh, not cooked, as in I haven't heated it up, but it's not cooked. It's extra virgin olive oil on some dishes just because it was like to enhance the flavor. But when I talk about like a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of it, like a dripple to enhance the flavor on that dish that I was serving. For example, I did this watermelon carpaccio, and because the salt was there, the sweetness of the watermelon adding a little bit of olive oil there, because if you use very good olive oil, it's got that very burny, the polyphenols are very burny. That is the taste, the complement of sweet and salt with that is perfect for enhancing the sweetness of the watermelon. It's better like food chemistry that I play with. And this is really when I would use a little bit of olive oil. But generally speaking, even when I do events, like supper clubs, I never use oil to prepare the food. I don't see it
Mm.
necessary, you know. There are there
Yeah,
benefits, you know, I'm like, yeah, there are benefits in olive oil. It's got, like I said, the polyphenols are, if you get a good quality, extra virgin, unadulterated olive oil, you get a lot of benefits. But to me, to give people, especially when I'm making a 6 course meal, to give people 1 tablespoon of olive oil, which has 120 calories, what is it for? It's just fat. Like you can get the polyphenols for everything else I'm giving you, because I give like this rich, colorful food anyway. So,
mm,
you know, it's a mind shift. So I never really, I don't know why. I mean, I know that things taste better with oil. Like I get it, especially when we
yeah,
cook it.
no doubt with that. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I have eaten so many junk food, so many oily foods, so many. I mean, it's just because I lived in so many different kind of
Yeah,
countries,
countries.
and I lived 10 years in the States, right? And I was just, I think I just maxed out all
Yeah.
of the alcohol consumption, refined sugar and oil. I'm not the person to judge anyone. Like, a lot of people say that Kiko, you eat so clean, but you have not seen how I was eating before. It's just,
Mm.
I mean, highly processed food was like that's how I grew up, even in Japan. And
Interesting.
yeah, in the States, like like cakes, and the desserts was always there. And,
Yeah.
because I ate out every night. There was like heavy meals every day. So, you know, again, if anyone is um, get inspired and don't think I'm judging you if you do whatever you're doing, because I'm the last person to judge. It's just I eat all the junk food.
Yeah.
I just do it because I feel great. I'm much nicer person to be with if I when I eat this way. So that's the only way I do it. Yeah. And then people love it. People always comment to say that how great, they're sort of addicted with the feeling. They enjoy the food. They say that how delicious it is and how delicious they feel after.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Like you have, you know, everyone that I hear is coming to Kyoto. I'm like, you really need to try this. I know you only open once a week, and it's Tuesdays, right? For now, at the moment.
Now it's Thursday afternoon. It
Thursday,
changes.
you moved it.
And
Okay.
if you book in advance, like some people, they would book me from overseas and they would say, "Oh, I'm coming to Japan. I want to come to your cafe." Then I can adjust my opening days.
Okay.
So nowadays, just Thursday afternoon. I can do it on weekends as well if booked in advance.
Amazing. That's important to know. But you know, it's in a charity shop, right? That you have your pop-up.
Yeah, it's a non-profit organization.
Yeah.
They sell permaculture vegetable and organic goods.
My God, that's what like that's really on brand. Amazing. And
And yeah, they have a lot of different kind of workshop. Today, we gathered as a member of this community and we made a umeboshi, a Japanese plum pickle.
yes.
I make it myself, but it's more fun to do it together. So that
Yeah.
was the workshop today.
Amazing. Yeah, we can buy Ubiboshi here in the store. It's not the same. But one thing is, I was surprised when you say you grew up in Japan with this junk food approach, because obviously there is this view of Japan as this very traditional culture where, and I guess because of this, the blue zones, everybody's thinking Okinawa approach, you know, like the sweet potatoes, with the, bless you, with the soy, a little bit of fish, and a lot of vegetables. But it seems that actually outside some pockets of the country, most people are not eating that way. Can you just take me through why there is this breakage in culture when it comes to food? Because I know that in the past, Japan was actually very proud to have, very whole foods. They didn't even have diseases like diabetes up to the 80s.
Hmm. Yeah, in 70s and 80s and 90s, there were, cup noodle, Japanese cup noodle is so popular, right? That was just full of MSG.
Mm,
And uh, I was raised by my grandma. She didn't you would think raised by grandma, you'd be served with some simple food. She just didn't know how to cook. She didn't like it. So she just bought like pouched meat. It's like meatball, and she just had to warm it in the hot water, and plastic in the hot water, and then that meatball was just worse than cheap sausage. And they didn't know it was not bad. It was not good for you. And back then, people didn't connect with what we eat
mm.
would contribute to our health. So my grandma didn't know. So she was just serving us with that and lots of junk food. Maybe it's not as bad as junk food, American junk food, but still junk food was everywhere. Um, Yeah, so a lot of takeaways I grew up and just highly processed food. Um, yeah, that's how I grew up. And I had like a mysterious stomach ache quite
Mm.
often, and they wouldn't find anything. Yeah.
And so my segue question to this is obviously you were away and through your travels, through your journey, you changed the way you eat. And when you went back to Japan, how how did your family accept the new you, the new version of you that didn't eat like they do?
They, I was always a black sheep and I never blended in anywhere in Japan. But I becoming raw vegan, I didn't eat rice. Like rice is like the foundation of being Japanese. It's just not imaginable to, you know, like, are you really Japanese if you don't eat miso soup, like typical miso soup, and raw eggs or rice. And my dad used to complain like she's just crazy, and he just couldn't accept me. But it's okay. It's I yeah, I mean, they don't have to go through the horror and food addiction that I have to go through, right? They might criticize me and I might please them to eat certain things. But I'm the one who has to go through depression, food addiction, whole month of like itchiness all over my body. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Good to know because I feel like a lot of people would actually stop the journey just because they didn't feel accepted by their family. But you, and even though your husband is not fully raw, you feel like he's supporting you, correct?
Yeah, but he doesn't, yeah, I mean, he's high raw because he
Mm,
doesn't care to be in the kitchen. So I prepare everything for him. He's
mm-hmm,
very simple. During the summertime, yeah, he becomes high raw. During the wintertime, he's happy with rice and like miso soup with
mm-hmm,
lots of veggie. I don't even have to taste it. I can just put it, I cook it, but I don't even have to taste it, right?
mm.
He's very easygoing, so yeah, it's very peaceful in my home now.
That's good. And in winter, when you feel that you're cold, what's the approach for you? What do you do?
Yeah, I here in Kyoto it gets very cold and it's not central. The heating system is by room, so it is cold in the house, and I do get quite cold drinking smoothies, but I just feel better eating big green smoothies, even if it makes me feel cold. So I do burpees, I do like exercise. Yeah, I make sure that my room is warm enough. But I do get cold, eating like I eat pretty much the same thing. I do a lot of I do more dehydrated stuff during the winter time. So yeah. Um,
It will help you. What kind of dehydrated things you do? Make crackers, things like that?
I make crackers. I make I make a lot of dehydrated banana, like cinnamon
Mm.
banana
Rolls.
cinnamon roll.
Mm.
I make also like freeze the cabbage and I mix it with uh, sort of like a okonomiyaki style, which is a Japanese pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm gonna, oh, when you mentioned the raw, the frozen and defrost food, let me tell you, and you being Japanese, you'll appreciate this. I made the best sashimi. So with I've frozen a chunks of watermelon, put them in the freezer, and then defrost them overnight. And when they lose the water, you are left with this meaty texture that then you can marinate with some nori sheets and a little bit of miso soup and soy, tamari, and then put it on. You can make little bowls um, of cauliflower rice, and you have your sashimi, and the texture is insane. It's once you defrost it, it's meaty like tuna. It's crazy. So if
What?
you this is like the easiest fancy raw because you don't have to do anything fancy. It doesn't have extra fats, doesn't have extra processing. It's simply chop up the watermelon, freeze it, defrost it, and then you have
Oh
the
my God, I'm gonna try that. That's
I
amazing.
I candleized it, because of Chris. So
I know that people use watermelon to imitate tuna, and you make the sauce, and then you put like seaweed and
but they
to make
cook
it
it.
more.
They
Yeah,
dehydrate it or cook it. Yeah.
maybe they dehydrate it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
dehydrate it. And but the ones that are not raw, they cook it. They put it in the oven.
Ah,
So I have skipped the dehydration even by putting it in the freezer, and that is amazing.
what do you put as a sauce? The tamari and what else?
Tamari, a little bit of miso and wakame or nori to give it
Uh-huh.
the nori flakes to give it the taste of sea. But then I also around the cauliflower rice I would put a little bit of nori. So it depends how you want to make it. If you want to make like a nori bowl and mix it together. When you make the cauliflower rice, if you want, you can also make the cauliflower rice, freeze it and defrost it because then the water becomes a little bit more sticky. Or you can add a little bit of miso paste and make it wetter. But the freezing and defrosting, it's the equivalent of cooking, really, for the
You're
texture.
genius, Chantel. That's
I don't know if I came
amazing.
up with this one. I mean, most of this concept is from Chris, okay? So we have to give him the props because Chris is doing everything with the frozen. But I never done that. I told Chris he didn't do this, and I told him about my cauliflower cheese. So I freeze the cauliflower, defrost it, and then I blend it with the nooch and garlic and all the stuff, and it really makes a nice cheese cheese
So
sauce.
you garlic and what else you add?
Nutritional yeast, garlic, and salt. That's very simple, and that's it. And then you have the cheese.
Yeah, that's incredible. I used to do that. Now you reminded me I should do that again. Just add
Yeah.
I sometimes I would do I like the crunchiness of the cauliflower,
Mm.
so I just add a bit of salt and nutritional yeast and I just dip it.
Yeah.
Maybe put the lemon and dip it. But yeah, I should add more garlic too.
Yeah, I mean the crunchy with the cauliflower. The only reason I thought about the freezing defrosting rice for the sashimi bowl is because it once you do that, it tastes like rice. It's got the stickiness, so you can actually make the bowls with the sashimi on top. But if you don't care for it and you just want to have a actual bowl with the normal cauliflower rice and then the sashimi, you can do that too. Like there's so many varieties. You can just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, you feel like, you're limited, but I feel like when you have limited food, like there's so many ways that you can make it. Yeah, you become more creative with
Yes,
the limited source.
totally. And I love that. It's like you can just have fun with it. I
Wow.
also
So
I
I,
also love making the florets. I freeze them and then I put them in the marinade when I defrost them and then put them in the dehydrator. They become incredibly crispy. But that one I think is from Chris. I saw it somewhere. The bang bang, cauliflower.
ah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
incredible.
we're ending basically saying that with raw food you can have fun and doesn't even have to be gourmet. It can be really simply using freezer and that's it, or freezer and dehydrator. It's really that simple and everybody has that at home. The dehydrator probably not everybody has it, but if you don't want it, you don't need it.
Mm,
So it's fun to just play around with these kind of
true.
things and trying to up our game when it comes to our health because ultimately whether you want to go raw or not having more raw food as in the book Becoming Raw that you checked. I know you were looking up Dave Brenda, the it is amazing for us and we need it because even when it comes to the fiber in raw food versus the fiber in cooked food, it's slightly different and we need all of it. This is why I do like a little bit of cooked food. I think resistant starches, which you create by like reheating a sweet potato, for example, um, it's important for the diversity. You can dehydrate them too, though. You can dehydrate the sweet potato and you get the same effect. So um, or as we just said with the cauliflower. So there are ways to do it, to be honest with you, even raw. It's more time consuming, but to me, as long as people add more salads, add more greens, step away from the animal products, and also, especially as women, getting away with this concept that we can only get protein um, in our perimenopausal year, menopausal year, when we need a little bit more from animal products, when we do not need more saturated fats, given our predisposition to heart disease as estrogen goes down, rely on plants. We get everything we need from plants.
Yeah, more and more study and research are coming up that it's validating it's better to be on a plant-based diet.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not again, it's not there's not one diet that is perfect, but it's all about understanding what nutrients you need and then finding those nutrients so that you're not lacking. That's as far as it goes. Do we need to take supplements? Honestly, in my practice, I tell my ladies to add some supplements. I There are good quality supplements out there that are third party certified, quality controlled, and I would go for those. And not every supplement is a scam. There are loads of scam, but not everything is. And take those, help your body to not have blind spots. But then
Mm.
if that keeps people plant-based and contributes to a better planet, healthier planet, and animal lives, I'm all for it. So we can stop this cruelty on the planet as well, which, as we talked about energetically, is very important as well.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, I used to get depressed so easily when I was eating animal food.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, we are putting all that suffering and pain, and of course we feel depressed.
Yeah, and we don't know, right? People don't think about it. But I
Hmm.
felt the shift so deeply when I stopped eating animals.
Hmm.
Brilliant. And I will also put your links and how to get in touch with you and follow you on YouTube and Instagram. You're very, very active. I hope we can do more things together, and it'd be nice to actually maybe do even a cook along or uncook along. We can create some nice recipes
Oh, that would
online.
be so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I really loved having you here.
Thank you. I had such a blast with you, Chantal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetie. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Kiko, for being on and sharing so openly about your journey. And thank you guys for listening to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And as always, if you have, please do share it with your friends. Make sure you tell people about it. But also, if you don't know anything about Kiko yet and you want to learn more, please go into the show notes, follow her, see what she's preparing, check out her books, and also maybe try to add one new plant-based meal, raw or not, into your diet every day. Remember that even that one change is a massive win. More fiber, more micronutrients, something new for your palate, more whole foods. That's the whole point. And so you can just tick and give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing something amazing if you're doing that, even just one little change. So guys, as always, I hope to see you next week and I really appreciate you. Bye.